Hello, lovely souls. Welcome back to the Awakening to Your Soul Self podcast. I'm your host, Christina Loureiro, Angel Messenger and Angel Reiki Master Teacher. Today's episode is a little bit different. The angels wanted me to do a solo episode to talk to you about the aha moment I had last week. Last Saturday, I heard from my spirit team, go watch Inside Out 2. And I was like, okay, I'll put on Inside Out 2. But why, spirit team? And they said, there are messages in there. Messages about the egoic mind. And I said, all right. I've always wanted to watch Inside Out 2. I'm a big Disney buff. But I was like, I wasn't sure that the moment felt right. Usually when a Disney movie comes out, I watch it immediately on Disney+. But I didn't feel like it was the right time. Friends, you might be asking me, Christina, what kind of messages are possibly in a Disney movie about our emotions? Friends, I believe that there are messages in everything. Every movie, every conversation, every person we meet, everything has a reason, and everything has a message or a sign. So let's dive a little deeper into this. So once I was watching the movie, I heard every once in a while my spirit team go, pay attention to this. Did you catch that message? And friends, I certainly had many light bulb moments, but this one stuck out the most for me. The light bulb moment that I had is how and why our egoic mind is with us here on earth. It's trying to protect us. Now you might be saying, didn't you know that? Yes, I knew our egoic mind is trying to protect us. That's why when we come up with a new idea or a new project, we always have our ego saying, I don't want to say negative, because egoic mind isn't always negative. It's just trying to protect us. So it might be diverting us from doing that thing that we thought about. Now, if you don't know about Inside Out, basically it's a movie about a girl, Riley, growing up. The first movie, she's got 5 main emotions. And in the second one, which I watched, Riley is now a teenager and she has some new emotions that are coming up. And one of them is anxiety. During this movie, I related to anxiety so much as I have some in my life that I've learned to work through. But the aha moment that I really had was anxiety acts just like our egoic mind. And the emotion joy acts just like our higher self, just like anyone on our spirit team. So I want to start this conversation with an analogy for you to understand the egoic mind and the higher self. Imagine this, friends. Think of the egoic mind as a loud, overprotective friend who is always warning you about everything in every possible scenario. This friend is always telling you, don't do that. Are you really sure you want to do that? And they'll give you a million different reasons why you can't go do that thing. So whenever you're trying to step out of your comfort zone, for example, you might start a new project, meet new people, go pursue a hobby or a passion. And they're telling you, wait, are you sure you want to do this? You sure this is safe? You sure that's a good idea? But on the total other hand of the spectrum, you have our higher self. It's a quiet, gentle voice, a mentor who gently nudges you to trust your gut, to trust your instincts, your intuition, and embrace these new experiences, reminding you that this life this world is full of possibilities and joy. So you might have tuned out your friend's excessive, cautious remarks. You totally take them into consideration, but you also are hearing your mentor, your higher self's calm encouragement. We need to learn to quiet the voice of the anxiety, quiet the voice of the egoic mind, and connect to that wisdom of our higher self. Now, friends, I know that was a lot to take in already. Let's start by taking a deep breath in and deep breath out. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now you might be asking, why did I just have you take a couple deep breaths in? One is to recenter, to reground yourself during this conversation. To also bring in your angels, your guides, your higher self. But also to show you just a quick, easy thing you can do when you are feeling anxiety, when you are feeling your egoic mind kind of take over. The simple act of breathing in and breathing out is something that we do every day, but being really intentional with it can bring you back to the present moment. So do this simple breathing when you're feeling that a heavy, heavy pull from your egoic mind, or when the anxiety just feels like it's too much. We all have anxiety, some more than others. I know for me, breathing has been a really important thing for me to do in my life to deal with my anxiety. To bring us back to the joy, peace, bliss, ease, and grace. Okay. So now that we kind of understood egoic mind and the higher self, let's dive a little bit deeper into the egoic mind. Now, depending where you are in your spiritual journey, you might know all about the egoic mind or have not heard it at all. So I want to talk about it for a general population. So the egoic mind is something that will be with us as long as we're here on earth. So we need to keep adding tools to our toolbox so we can learn to quiet down the egoic mind or anxiety, just like in the movie, or just anxiety as an emotion. The egoic mind is a part of us that is often thought of self. It's that voice that's in our head that is focused on survival and control. Now think about it. The egoic mind is only trying to do what it thinks is best for us. It's trying to protect us. Now, our egoic mind has controlled us for so long. And it takes time and it takes practice to quiet down the egoic mind. It is always going to be a part of us until we learn to quiet it. It's a part of us that is deeply attached to the fear. And it's always thinking about what can go wrong, or what do others think of us, or how do we can control this any kind of situation to keep us safe. Now, thinking back on anxiety, think about a real life experience that you've had. I don't want you to get yourself into an anxiety or a panic. Just lightly think about it. I'm going to give you some examples for me. So, particular on my spiritual journey, I've had lots and lots of times that the egoic mind has come through. For example, when I started this podcast, I really felt a nudge from my higher self in my spirit team that I needed to do this, to put this podcast out, to reach as many people as possible. Now, I also felt that my egoic mind was coming in and saying, no one's going to listen to the podcast. You're going to make a fool of yourself. You're not an expert. You don't know what you're talking about. What can I talk about? And when that got hard, I went back to my breathing, grounded myself, got myself back into oneness, and I would tune into my higher self with my spirit team and hear the subtle whispers of, you can do this. You can reach people on your spirit team. You have a voice. And that made me feel so confident. Made me feel not anxious, not fearful anymore. So I decided to take the leap and do this podcast. Here I am, 26 episodes later, and you can learn to quiet the egoic mind as well. Quiet the anxiety and listen to your higher self. Listen to joy. One of the most powerful ways we can experience the egoic mind is through the anxiety, as we've been talking about. It's always asking, what will go wrong? A big thing that the egoic mind is always trying to predict is trying to predict the future. It's always going to ask, what if? And what if are two powerful words when it comes to egoic mind. I think everybody is always afraid to take a leap of the unknown. Gosh, friends, I do it every day. I wonder about, should I make this post? Should I keep going with the podcast? But anxiety is only trying to do what's best. If you've watched the movie, you'll see that anxiety takes over the control board. It's basically Riley's mind. It creates this anxiety tornado of, I need to manage everything. I need to make sure all her relationships are perfect. I need to make sure she's on the hockey team. I need to, fit in. What ends up happening in the movie, and I think within ourselves as well, is that we get caught in this loop of anxious thoughts and the pressure from the egoic mind, and we literally create a tornado of our thoughts, of the ego. And this was another aha moment that I had, was as I watched anxiety, the character, the emotion, get so worked up, got so anxious that she couldn't control everything. She ended up making this anxiety tornado, and it couldn't be stopped. She already got started. Joy, the emotion, the higher self, comes in and calms anxiety down, calms the egoic mind down, brings it back, and makes them realize there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to protect her from. Everything is okay. All right, friends. I know I've been repeating myself a lot, but I feel like this is a very important topic, and the angel keeps bringing me back and back to the egoic mind and the higher self. Let's keep going. Okay, so the egoic mind takes a very simple thought and can give you a million reasons why you shouldn't go do that thing. It creates stories that aren't even real, scenarios that aren't even real. But it doesn't matter because it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to preserve the self. It's controlled you for so long. It's trying to keep the idea of who you are and who are you perceived. But honestly, friends, the truth is the constant vigilance of the egoic mind, of the anxiety, keeps us trapped in worry, fear, stress, lower vibrational energies. But the beautiful thing is, we don't always have to live in a space of anxiety and fear and always listen to the egoic mind. We have another voice, a higher, softer, more expansive voice that we can tap into. Do you know what that voice is? The voice represented in the movie is joy, the emotion. It's very similar to our higher selves, to our angels, and our spirit team. And it's trying to bring us free from the limitations of the ego. So, as I'm referencing throughout this conversation, Inside Out 2, the other main emotion is joy. She is optimistic, she's light, she's bright, she's peaceful. And she always has the ability to find happiness, even when there's challenges or she doesn't know about the unknown. She always has a way of seeing the good, the beautiful, and always coming back to Riley's true self, your true self, your higher self. So joy is our higher self. Take that in for a moment. Joy is our higher self, and it's a part of the divine God, universe, source. It brings us inner peace, and it brings us to our true self, our higher self. So when we move beyond the fearful voice of the egoic mind and we align to our higher wisdom, to our higher self, that's the voice that brings us to a place of trust instead of fear. We learn to trust and say, I am good enough. You are perfect the way you are. Everything is unfolding as it should be. Everything is happening for me, not to me. And that's a line that the egoic mind will bring every once in a while, that why are things happening to me? I shouldn't have done that thing because now that's going to happen to me. No, friends. Everything is happening for you. So in times that we're stressed or we're afraid of the unknown, reference back to your higher self, just like in the movie, to joy. They always want to bring the higher self, the true self out to you. And always tries to remind you that no matter how tough life gets, there's always room for joy, peace, bliss, ease, grace, and gratitude. In the movie, Joy teaches us that the true freedom doesn't come from controlling everything or avoiding discomfort. It's accepting the flow of life, and we are surrounded by the present moment. In the movie, Riley navigates her teenage years by keeping to her true self, by sticking with her friends, while anxiety is trying to ignore her friends and to get on the hockey team. And anxiety is worried about how Riley is perceived and wants to be the best hockey player. Let's pause for a moment, friends. Can you relate? I bet we all can relate to our teenage years and how we always worried how we perceive. We might even be still doing that now. I know I still do that as I'm learning the spiritual journey and putting myself out there. So let's think of a time where you felt completely connected to your joy, completely to your higher self, to your true self. We did the egoic mind time, and now we're going to do joy. So you might have felt joy when you were in nature or a specific place or with your friends and family, or even in a quiet state of mind. So like in yoga or meditation of any kind. Now, your egoic mind and the higher self, they feel completely different. They're two completely different vibrations. Egoic mind is a lower vibration, and the higher self is the highest vibration possible. It's God's energy. It's your true energy. Your true self isn't surrounded by fear and doubt. That's why the angels, your loved ones, they all understand how hard it is to be on earth, because we have the egoic mind with us at all times. So now, think of a time or situation where you felt overwhelmed or uncertain, and you might have spiraled into a worry state, into a lower vibration. That wasn't your egoic mind. It was trying to keep you safe, but in doing so, it really steered you from doing something that you really felt called to do. But friends, I want you to remember, your anxiety, your egoic mind, your higher self, and joy are a part of you. This movie has really brought me to realize, to imagine joy and anxiety as my egoic mind and our higher self. For me, I'm a very visual person, so to see this movie and to really see it in a spiritual perspective is amazing. I thank my angels for nudging me to watch it. I could have said, no, I don't want to watch it, but I'm really happy that I did. So, anxiety is always going to be part of our human experience, and that comes from the egoic mind. But joy, our higher self, is also available to us as well. It's just waiting for us to choose it, to reconnect with it, even in the hard times, or the times where we feel like we don't hear or connect with it. So here are 5 quick spiritual practices that can help you quiet the egoic mind and connect to your higher self more regularly. 1, meditation or mindfulness. So when anxiety strikes, for me, the best way is to get back into mindfulness. I can't always do a full-on meditation, but just sitting and acknowledging my thoughts and my feelings helps me separate from anxiety, helps me separate from the egoic mind. I don't fight it, but I just kind of acknowledge it and let it go away. So the way I see my thoughts, my egoic mind, is there's a river in front of me, and I acknowledge it, and I put it in a basket, and I let it float down the water. You can kind of come up with a visualization that will work for you, but that has worked for me. So through meditation, you can connect with a deeper, more peaceful part of you. You can even do a meditation to call on your higher self. It doesn't always have to be your higher self. It could be an archangel, a guardian angel, God, universe, source, loved one. But the meditation doesn't have to be long. It can just be like a minute or 2. You can even do this at your desk at work. But if you don't feel comfortable, the angels want me to bring through is that sometimes what I do, if I'm getting too anxious or I'm getting like worked up or I just feel like I need to get away, but I can't because I'm at work, I just get up and like walk around the building, like walk around to the floor, walk on the floor, go downstairs, depending what building I'm in. 2, spiritual practice number 2 is breath work. So remember back in the beginning of the episode where we took a couple deep breaths? That is slowing down our breath. Can really help regulate and calm down the nervous system, calming down the egoic and anxious mind. When we deep breathe, we send a signal to our body saying, body, mind, everything is okay. You don't need to be in a fight or flight mode. But it also helps you ground yourself, connect back to a higher vibration. Again, you could do this simply at your desk at work. Take a couple deep breaths, quiet yourself, quiet the mind. For me, that's probably the thing I do the most is a couple deep breaths. Or take a walk. Spiritual practice number 3 is affirmations of trust. When we find that our egoic mind is constantly giving us fearful thoughts, I want you to counter them with affirmations of joy and trust. Affirmations are a great way to tell your mind and your body that you are okay. Some phrases that I've been using lately is, I am safe in this moment. I trust myself. I trust my spirit team to guide me, to lead me. So by saying those few affirmations, it totally shifts your energy from a fearful ego state to a more peaceful, positive state. Spiritual practice number 4 is gratitude. In the movie, Joy was always looking for the brighter side of things. She was always in a state of gratitude. She really focused on the blessings that was in Riley's life, no matter how small or how big they were. So when she was doing this, she was really tapping into the higher self, into the higher vibration. And really, you can do this in your own life. You can start by creating a gratitude practice. Either starting your day with a gratitude practice or ending your day with a gratitude practice. You can start by naming 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. For me, every time I go to bed, before I fall asleep, I always say, God, universe, source, angels, guides, and loved ones, thank you for giving me all the messages and signs that I received today, even the ones that I missed, because I want to be grateful that I have this ability to communicate with you. And finally, number 5, we're almost done, friends, is self-compassion. We have to recognize that our ego and the emotion anxiety is not our enemy. It's really just trying to protect us because that's all it knows how to do, and that's all it thinks it can do. So we need to treat ourselves with the same kindness that you would offer to a family member or a friend. Allow yourself to experience both fear and peace, knowing that you're not defined by either. For example, something that the angels are bringing through me in my head is when I was probably about middle school, we were on a ropes course, and I really wanted to do the ropes course, but I had fear because I didn't want to do it because I was afraid. But I also had a sense of peace, like, okay, everybody's doing it. I'm safe. I'm attached to the rope. I won't fall. If I do, they will catch me. Everything's okay. Take that analogy and see if that resonates with you. All right, friends, we're about the half-hour mark. I want to end this conversation with just kind of doing a quick summary of the egoic mind, the emotion anxiety, the character anxiety, and the higher self, joy, the emotion, and the character. So we have to learn how to dance between the egoic mind and our higher self. But it's not a battle. It's not that, one's trying to be better than the other. We're going to have both our entire lives. Egoic mind is going to travel with us forever. And our higher self is never going to leave us, never going to abandon us. So we have to learn the balance. We have to learn how to quiet the egoic mind using some of the spiritual practices that I gave you. If none of those resonated, there are many, many more. And we need to learn to quiet the egoic mind, listen to the subtle whispers of the higher self. And friends, the way that I've differentiated the egoic mind and my spirit team, my higher self, is the voice and the volume. For me, I've said before, I'm more clairaudient than anything. So when it's my egoic mind, it's louder and it's more up front of my head. And when it's my spirit team, my higher self, it's quieter and it's more to the back where my right ear is. That's the ear that I hear more from the other side. Not that that's going to apply to everybody, but I felt like I needed to share that. So let's wrap this up by saying, practice tuning into your higher self. Practice quieting down the egoic mind. It becomes easier and easier the more you practice with it. Friends, thank you so much. I hope this resonated with you. If you have the chance, watch Inside Out 2 and see if you can have those those light bulb moments that I did during this, because it really clicked for me. I understood the egoic mind, and I understood how the higher self, how the spirit team, God, universe, source works. But seeing it in a Disney movie, I don't know, there's just something, I can't describe it. You have to watch it. So thank you, friends, for joining me for this episode on the Awakening to Your Soul Self podcast. I'm your host, Christina Lorero. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach me out on social media on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. ChristinaAngelMessenger.com is my website. Also, it's my handle. So Christina Angel Messenger, Christina with no H. And I'd love your review on this podcast. Every review helps. And share this with your friends and family. But friends, I want you to remember that no matter what you're facing, what matter you're going through, you will always have access to the peace, grace, bliss, ease, and wisdom of your higher self. The wisdom of God, universe, source, your spirit team. Until next Monday, friends, be gentle with yourself and acknowledge the egoic mind. And trust the whispers of your higher self and trust the journey. Have a blessed day, friends.